Hey there, welcome to an episode of Coffee Solo for this Saturday, August 16th, 2025. We're recording starting at 10:19 p.m. I'll apologize now for my voice, which is a little little constricted. I just had like a liter of coffee, I think it is, for better or worse. Sorry, I'm getting situated here. So yeah, it's 10:20 on Saturday. So it's episode 2025-081601. The title, I've jotted down a whole bunch of notes, so I wanted this to be a somewhat tight episode. Private Annoyance. Private Annoyance is, well, I'll talk about that in a second. So annoying. It's the summary of today's episode. The joys of joining the YouTuber crowd, if only as a podcast republisher to begin with, since I'm actually originally publishing on Spotify for Creators, which is also sort of annoying to some degree. And maybe a couple of other things for today's episode of Coffee Solo. Don't forget the links. I'm going to, the final item on my outline, I'll talk about this a little bit, but my other coffee website, Coffee Solo, hopefully is where you found this episode, maybe somewhere else. buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo is a profile page. It has links to all of my stuff. Spotify for Creators profile pages for all of my audio programs, YouTube links for all of my audio programs for now. Buy Me an Update is my other special audio program. It's available at buymeacoffee.com/danhugo/posts. But as you hopefully know by now, both this program and Buy Me an Update are also now available through Spotify for Creators. So there are profile pages for each of those. They're available on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube, maybe elsewhere. I was posting this exclusively on Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/Dan Hugo, which you may be listening to this from there, but maybe not. My attempt to sort of make those two platforms interesting for my own audience engagement, kind of hit or miss. So I'd rather make my content available using the normal ways, the accepted ways, RSS feeds and whatnot. And coming up next will be websites and such, so that I can own my online presence more easily. So yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. I think is it the last bullet point? Hey, yeah, it's the last bullet point of the actual things I wrote down. So yeah, I have to apologize for my voice. It sounds a little scratchy, but I just had too much coffee. I actually wanted to try out this ceramic coffee, not a mug, it's more of a vessel that I got as one of my Amazon Vine items. It looks cool. It feels good in the hand, but you know what they say about ceramic? Well, they don't. You may not know this. Ceramic can either insulate or conduct heat. It can do one or the other really well. And so for some reason, I have acquired 3 different ceramic products that are intended to be used for hot beverages. And all 3 of them have gone with the conducting route. So I wanted to try this thing out so I can write my review and say, nope. So I don't know who thinks it's a good idea to sell people, hey, you can use this for coffee or tea. It's made of ceramic and it looks really cool and it feels good. Like I said, it feels good in the hand. It looks really cool. There's actually 3 different sizes that nest, which is nice, right? So you kind of have a bigger espresso shot glass type thing and more of like a jigger, a 4-ounce-ish thing. And then this other, I think it's probably about 20 ounces. No, it's probably less, probably 16 ounces, maybe 12, probably 12. I don't know. I could probably look that up. Who cares? I don't know what they're thinking. Ceramic. I poured in I brewed some coffee, I poured it in there. Immediately, you can't even hold the thing. It's far too hot. So I don't know what they're thinking. Ceramic can be a wonderful and very effective heat insulator. They could very easily make a ceramic vessel of some sort that you would not even feel the heat on the outside of it. You can look at, where's some good, well, anyway, ceramic through time immemorial has been used for a variety of things where heat is involved and it can be used as a heat containment material, but not in this case. And again, 3 different, I I don't get it. I don't know who's doing this stuff. But I've interrupted myself completely, but that's why my my voice is a little wacky. It's actually been pretty good the last 2 days. My sinuses, I guess because the weather is changing, there's a more humidity, less heat. So we'll see what kind of fruit that bears for me. But in the meantime, hang on a second. Okay, how about that? I don't know. But it sounds the same to me. Kofi Solo, buy me an update in the, are these in the links? If you found this on Kofi.com, I don't have those links on there. I'm gonna kind of reset all of my links for everything at some point when I get all this sorted out. But you can find Kofi Solo and buy me an update, Coffee Solo, on Spotify for Creators. If you visit the buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo profile page, they're all there. And I would really like to cut down on the number of self-promotion links that I have in all of my episodes of things, because that just, it's kind of a distraction. It might even be annoying. I'm going to guess it's annoying for people. So there you go. Finally, the Nasal Fresh MD affiliate link. I have not actually used my Nasal Fresh for about 3 days, I think it is. I'm trying to see if the weather change. It was supposed to change on Thursday, but it was super hot on Thursday. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, now it's Saturday. So we'll see. I'll probably do it tonight and see if there's a change back. So anyway, if you're keeping track, hopefully you're not. But an affiliate link to Nasal Fresh MD. It's an Amazon affiliate link. If you have problems with your sinuses, it really has worked quite well for me if I do it on the regular. I kind of have to figure out what the regular schedule is for me as the weather changes, because my situation is mostly due to whatever's in the air, and it has some effect on me, and it affects my voice, and that's where we are. There's a bunch of other affiliate links on my buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo profile page for coffee beans and other things that I actually use. And so I'm kind of indirectly endorsing them. But if you want to support what I'm doing, you don't have to spend any money on anything on Buy Me a Coffee or Ko-fi.com, or click on anything. You don't have to do anything. So on that note, let's jump into my outline. Here is this deal to figure out. The inspiration for today's episode and the summary that I mentioned. When I, when I publish to my Spotify for Creators account for whatever the audio program is, including this one, there is a roughly 50% chance that it will be, so there's 100% it'll be grabbed by YouTube. YouTube will pick it up on the RSS feed. It will grab the audio and the title and all that, and description and everything. And then it will create a video. It will add it to my list of things, my content, and it will mark it as private. Now, I have set in every single place where I can say set uploads to public. I've done that, and it will mark it as private. And so if I forget to look, I'll look the next day or 2 days later, and you're like, oh, why has this been private the whole time? So essentially what I need to do is see if there's an API that I can call to mark videos as public. I'm guessing it won't be easy because that's how YouTube is, I think. The other fun part is I don't know about this. It just seems like a bug. When it grabs the latest published audio program via RSS from Spotify for Creators, it will grab it and it will do all the things. So it'll enable it to be published. It will mark it as private, probably. And then it will sort it at the bottom before the first episode of any given program, right? So if you look at it as a podcast in the playlist, you're like, hey, how come the latest episode is not sorted at the top, newest first? Oh, it's sorted at the bottom, newest first. That's not right. That means it's the oldest, even though it was just published an hour ago or whatever, right? So I found that in order to fix that, I can change the sort order to sort by date added, newest first, save that. It won't update the list, but then I change that setting back to sort by date published, newest first, and then it's fine. Okay, that's what we call a software bug. Something is not working correctly. But the fact that it marks, and it sometimes marks things that were public as private, I think. I got to track that a little bit more closely. But this is one of those things. You're like, I know there are people out there that they make their living on YouTube, so they're just like, hey, that's what you got to do. That's you got to deal with it. You got to bow down, Bend the knee is a common expression now. Okay, YouTube, I'll make it work. Don't worry. Just keep feeding me some viewers and or listeners. So this is just more of an ongoing theme, that things that we might want or need or depend on out in the world. I don't depend on YouTube publishing my audio programs, but I want them to. I don't need them to. I don't ask for money from any of this stuff. So these are all just, I prefer to think of them as receipts. I think out loud. And if anybody ever wants to go back and see what I was thinking, or if I need to say, no, I've always thought this, somebody can flip back and say, oh yeah, I guess you did publish that idea 2 years ago. Okay. Yeah, there it is. But the things that we want or need or that we depend on, they are just going to do what they're going to do. They'll function or dysfunction as someone sees fit. The YouTube people are like, oh, that's a bug, but whatever. People will deal with it because whatever, who cares? And that, by the way, excuse me, my background right out of college, because of the recession, the job market, whatever, it wasn't even AI. It was just, the other thing we're going to experience now, which is just an economic downturn. It was really hard to get jobs without experience. So I started at, I will say my third job, the job I had for a while, was at Apple in the Apple quality group. So I was a QA tester. I was just a tester, as some people would say. And I'm like, no. But it turned out to be useful to know this stuff, to learn how these processes work. But I will tell you right now, there are bugs. It's not a bug, it's a feature. But there are bugs that are, you rank them, right? Like, okay, we have so much time to commit to fixing bugs. We have a release schedule. We have new features to work on. So how much time are we going to spend working on bugs? So the first thing you do is you triage a bug and you say, does it cause any data loss? Is it a horrendously bad user experience? Is there a workaround for it? So the bug I just described with the sort order, there's a workaround. So it's not a big deal. It doesn't cause any data loss. It doesn't cause any massive problems. It's annoyance, but it's not the end of the day. So that's not a high ranking must fix type of thing. The marking, and I haven't looked around for that, but I did look online to see if other people are seeing this private setting, like, hey, my content is being reset to private, or it's being set to private, especially RSS feed. So I found relevant commentary on Reddit and elsewhere. People have seen this, so it's not it's not just me. So, and it's one of those things where, again, I think somebody at YouTube will say, oh, well, it's not a high priority bug because you can fix it. You just go in and mark it as private or public, reset it to public. So that's the way things are. We just need to accept, adapt, and move on. Okay, that's the way it's going to work. I just have to be diligent and check my feeds and make sure my content is visible to others. And sure, I have a feeling this is just going to be more and more of the new normal, which is unappealing. But I think, especially as more stuff is handed over to AI tools, you're just going to see AI code, AI vibe coded, AI generated, AI tested things. And here's the deal. Now, I will say, as a tester, when I was 23 years old, people around me who were various other ages, people that are in QA and they treat it as like the thing that they really like. And I'm not saying that I don't like it. I went to school to be an engineer, so I really like that part. But the QA skill and the desire, well, it's rooted in like, hey, I want to make cool things, or I want to be a part of the making of cool things, or whatever my role is. I think it is often, and again, oh, you're just a tester. I had an idiot here in Vegas who I really don't respect very much. Sorry. Say, well, aren't the developers and testers supposed to be sort of adversarial? No, that would be ridiculous. Because if you think about it, your people that are testing your product internally, they work with you on your team, or maybe they're an external vendor as a service, right? They're doing some quality assurance on your products. They're supposed to be on your team. They're supposed to be a part of the process and a part of the overall, hey, we want to ship good stuff that works. But if you think about your testers as an advocate for the user, right, your user is not sitting here. The people that you want to use your product are not sitting at the table or attending the meetings, but your testers are. And so they're sort of an advocate for your users. And every serious QA person I've ever met treats their job like that. As did I, right? So you take bugs personally. Hey, I found this bug and you guys didn't fix it. Hey, my bug is not, hey, my bug got fixed, right? There's a very personal connection between the process of building new products. And it doesn't have to be software. It could be just about anything, right? But if you make it your, well, first of all, if you're paid to do it, that's something. But if you make it your goal, when you go to work, when you do your thing, when you're however whatever the title that you have or whatever your job function is, if part of it is like, hey, I'm going to be, I'm going to represent the people out in the world that are going to use this product or service or whatever it is. If I find something that doesn't work, I'm going to try to fix it because I'm going to put myself in their shoes, so to speak. I'm going to think about it from their perspective, and I'm going to ship something that works. And you can ship things that don't work, and there are various workarounds for that. Well, it doesn't cause it's a cosmetic bug. We'll fix it in the point release. There's all sorts of project management lingo that goes along with like, we're not going to fix it right now. And there's one triage setting, I guess you could say, like for planning. You can mark something as not to be fixed, like not worth it, which is kind of comical. And when you're a tester, when you're a QA person, I've had this experience personally, so I can say it was a long time ago, but I will tell you that is very frustrating because you're thinking about it in terms of like, well, if I was some person out in the world and I encountered this thing like, hey, my sort order it's wrong. You're like, I know that's going to be annoying. And it's something that we could fix, but they just don't want to. Now, I'm not saying that's the case here, but it's an example possibly. So, yeah, I'm just concerned. I'm venting my frustrations, but I'm also voicing some concerns about like as more and more stuff is going to be done through automation. If you get an email that was written by AI, if you have to work with a customer support thing that is not a real person, but it pretends to be, and you're kind of running into that uncanny valley, you're like, that's weird. They're trying to sound human, but some of the interaction just isn't. And I get that a lot when I do Amazon support, which I try to avoid now like a plague. All of this is unappealing. So I'm just venting at the moment, but I don't have a good feeling about the near-term future, which I'm going to comment more on in a moment. But before I get to that, I want to point out, because I was watching, there's a streamer here in Vegas. His name is Stephen Campbell, I think. He has a channel called Not Leaving Las Vegas, as opposed to Leaving Las Vegas, the Nicolas Cage movie with Elizabeth Shue and Nicolas Cage. So he's not leaving Las Vegas. I think he said he's been doing it since the pandemic or slightly before. So call it 5 years. And he does some interesting stuff. I do not agree with most of his politics. He violates pub rules most of the time on his stream. People get really offended by his commentary sometimes. They disagree with his takes on things. So I totally get that. I would say the same thing sometimes. But he does do some interesting analysis, and he does like wander around complaining about how there's nobody here, which is humorous because there are a lot of people here. Oh, it's not like it should be because I've been here for 11 years. Or no, 20. He's lived here for 21 years. I've lived here for 12 years. This evening he was on Fremont Street, if you're from the Vegas area, or if you visit here, the old downtown, as we used to call it. So Fremont Street experience. He throws his hands up. There's nobody here. They said it was crowded. It's not. I mean, it is the summer, so I don't believe he, and he always says, well, they don't like me to go into the casinos, which is fine. The casinos probably don't like people streaming, watching people play and so on. That's fine. I get it. But I think if you're going to make these statements, first of all, the old saying, what's the actual saying? I literally just looked this up because I was curious. And of course I don't have the tab open. So whatever, light a candle instead of cursing the darkness, or do not curse the darkness, light a candle, some variation on that theme. So he just the last couple of weeks, he's been, the title is, I'm not here to pick on him personally, although I am, but he's just such and I've been called Debbie Downer. He's such a Debbie Downer. And now I'm a Debbie Downer. But when I'm a Debbie Downer, I usually am saying, we need to fix this. So when I'm a Debbie Downer about things, it's like people don't respond to connection, or they don't respond to email or requests for things. They're just very, they don't care unless there's something in it for them. Oh, you're such a complainer. Well, no, what I'm saying is you cannot possibly conduct any sort of professional networking conversations if people are only going to respond if there's something in it for them. There's no sense of long tail. And I've talked about this on my Cafe Genius Impresarios program, especially. And yeah, so my proposal is like we should stop being so selfish or solipsistic, or you can say individualistic or objective, depending on if you're an Ayn Rand fan, or I approach the simplified philosophical use of solipsism, which is much more self-centered, but not rejecting the existence of others. So keeping it a little bit simpler. But the take home, Stephen is a super, super duper Debbie Downer, technical term. But what he's saying is like, there's nobody here. So he wanders around. Now, in fairness, he's often walking around places where it is very thin on the crowd side. But there's only so much. I mean, okay, you've made your point. You just keep making your point over and over again. The numbers are published on the LVCVA, which he does talk about. And the headlines are making some assertions, and there are some people pushing back. I know the CEO of MGM Properties said, it's a little bit thinner than we'd like, but we'll see. There's new stuff coming for Vegas. Area 15 just opened up the, I can't remember what they called it, Area 2. I can't remember what the name of it, but they just opened up some more stuff. Area 15 is actually, I don't like their management. I've had some interactions with them that were very disappointing. So, speaking of solipsism, but the facility, the location, and what they offer to people is it's pretty cool, actually. So I always tell people like, yeah, you should go check that out. If you've come to Vegas before and you're kind of tired of the strip and the casino resort, whatever, Area 15 is just off the strip. It's very interesting. The Omega Mart, very cool, from Meow Wolf. Meow Wolf has a few different places in the Southwest that are probably worth checking out. I've only been to Omega Mart. There are some other things at Area 15 though that are pretty cool, and now they've expanded that. So yeah, I don't believe he has visited that place. I don't believe he's visited things like the Boulevard, or I don't think he goes out to Summerlin. I don't think he goes to any other places. So I think it's interesting that people are so quick to undersample, as I would say as an engineer. They just look at a few data points and then they say, oh, that's it. It's all going to be over. 2 years from now, Vegas will cease to exist. I think he said that today. I will refer to the famous, or rather maybe infamous, Yogi Berra quote, "Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded," it's always funny. It is correctly attributed, by the way, though its origins go back to the 1800s with some variations on that theme. He actually did say that. So you can say it's a Yogi Berra quote. Something similar goes back a ways. So it's not a new concept, but Yogi Berra was always one to say something appropriate and quote worthy. So that's yet another case. So yeah, nobody goes to Vegas anymore because it's too crowded. It's too expensive, I think, would be a good replacement for the word crowded. But I think it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you can make excuses. You can say it's the weather, it's the tariffs, it's the economy, it's global relations, as have been upset somewhat with recent turmoil and so on. But we'll see. I mean, I think it's really difficult to claim the game is over during the hottest months of the year, during a time when the economy is tightening. There is some price pressure on cost of living goods. Groceries are getting a lot of attention again. So it's just kind of weird that people are so quick to make very limited scope judgments, which I think it's going to be interesting to see. So that's something I would like to spend a little bit more time on. I've talked about this also in the Cafe Genius Impresarios audio program, the need for introspection. If any population is going to examine its locality. Hey, we are here, but we only know what they tell us, right? I think there should be an easier way, in an open and transparent way, to get not only opinion, but opinion changes over time. So that's something I have on deck, which I'm sure I'll talk about later. I mean, in later episodes of this program. So for the moment, though, I'm moving all the way into the the anti-AI hype camp. For what it's worth, I think there's just too much AI hype. I think everybody's talking about how, you can build apps and not know anything. And so scroll back to my QA comments. I've already run into scenarios where people who, hey, I did a no code or low code thing. I don't know how it works. I'm like, well, it doesn't. Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, I don't even know what to look at to answer your question or to talk. Okay. So if that's what's going to replace people like me from 25 years ago, say, let me out of here. I think there's too much buy-in to the notion that AI, as it is functioning for the moment, will replace junior level coders and technologists and who knows who else. I mean, they're already talking about white collar jobs going away, HR, accounting, attorneys. Who knows? I mean, you're already seeing these anecdotal horror stories about attorneys turning in briefs or other legal filings that have been authored by AI. They don't even take the time to check. Hey, this comment has been written by AI, whatever. There's something super obvious that they leave in because they didn't even bother to review it. That is going to be the danger. What's that? Tesla was just awarded, was just given a judgment where they have to pay someone 243 million, 200 million in punitive for their self-driving feature, killing one person and horribly, I guess the word is maiming, but life-changing injuries and death were the two outcomes from someone who thought his Tesla was self-driving, and he dropped his cell phone and he went to get it from off the ground, and he piles into a truck that's parked off the road. I think it was like a T intersection maybe, and the Tesla failed to turn, and but I'm not sure if their recreation was a dramatization, taking some liberties or not. But the take home is that people's lives were altered in the most negative of ways, and so Tesla now has to pay something. They have to pay. 43 million was for the damages, and some of the damages will go to the driver, I think. But the take home is that the punitive part and the fact that this judgment has been rendered will now open the door for other court cases. So the take home here is that making claims about how our cars can self-drive, you still have to be sitting there, but the car will warn you if you don't have your hands on the steering wheel, or maybe it won't. So there's a lot of that dysfunctional stuff that I referred to already. So now you have people thinking, because they don't care, self-driving, I can go to sleep. I can have my car drive me home after I've been out on the Vegas Strip partying, which it's dangerous. But the Tesla vehicle could kill everybody. Could kill you, could kill other people. And just because you're like, I'm gonna doze off and let my car do its thing, and the car's like, I don't know about that. So really, really ridiculous. So I'm moving into the hey, you know what? AI is an interesting tool. Not gonna hand over my future or my livelihood or my personal safety. Vegas has when I moved to Vegas in 2013. It was 2004, I think it was 2015 or 16. I think it was 15. Vegas became one of 6 FAA test sites for drones, right? So California, I think, was partnered with Oregon. Hawaii was partnered with another state, Vegas, or Nevada, I should say. So there were 6 locations, whether they were in one or more states, where you could test drones. So the FAA sanctioned, it's endorsed. Sanctioned is a good or a bad thing. They enabled these sites to have drones flying and testing and so on. And now, so drones or what is it called? Autonomous vehicles, airborne or driving on the streets, are legal in Nevada. They can be driven and tested and so on. And so Nevada, especially Vegas, has touted this as it's part of our global innovation hub selling point. But the technologies are often developed somewhere else, but they're deployed here. That's fine. Tourists can try them out. CES, I think it was 2 years ago, made a big thing of it. The boring tunnel with the, I think they call it the loop, which is the same name given to a free bus route that is on surface streets. But the loop, I think it was supposed to be autonomous vehicles, but it's people driving Tesla electric cars underground between the convention center and Resorts World, but okay. But Vegas, you can have, and there are Zooks, I think, and some other autonomous vehicles traveling on the streets. I am avoiding those like the plague. It's just not, it's the gee whiz cool, but it's not worth it. I would rather walk, to be honest. So yeah, I'm going to go with caution, and I'm the managing director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation. You may have heard me mention that before if you've listened to other episodes of this program, or Let's Innovate for Vegas is a whole podcast channel. I have mentioned this explicitly, that I think using artificial intelligence tools is fine. But if you have AI doing your work for you and you don't know what it did and you don't know how it works, then I'm like, get it out of here. That is not the way we're pursuing our civic volunteer efforts. So yeah, if you're going to be a volunteer, you do it, not, same with if you're an attorney or a doctor, or like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and have the computer do it for me. No, that's not how it works. And I also think we're limiting the size of the future population of senior level people, whether it's programmers or whatever. So not only in coding fields, but anywhere else, this replacement is going on where it's, we can have AI do our whatever it is. I also wonder in the medium and long terms if we will see a degradation in the quality of anything in the way the world works. And that goes back again to the dysfunction. And humans are already bad at tracking and maintaining function. Things eventually become dysfunctional. You can read Cory Doctorow. If you have not heard of the impoopification, if I can keep it clean, impoopification affects everything eventually, because that's how people are. And I think it only gets worse with over-reliance, or really any reliance at this early point in time. Reliance on AI to do work for people, to replace people with systems that have been around for a year, 2 years, right? Yeah. Why don't we base the entire universe on the blockchain and see how that goes, or the metaverse? On to some good news. Noisy Raymond upstairs has been quiet for a change, more quiet, I should say, since I finally aligned our security company with my noise complaint. So I made a noise complaint to them where they could actually come out and hear, because in order to do anything, they have to hear from my perspective. So I opened the door. I was in the hallway. I was talking to the guy. I opened the door. And I said, "Can you hear?" And he's like, "Yep." I said, "I shouldn't be hearing that." He's like, "You're correct. You should not have to listen to his machinations." So from that day on, whatever day that was, and I had already spoken to the property managers. I've been speaking about this for months, but they always want proof. I gotta do, like, come on. How much time do I need? Can somebody just come out and listen? Like, here, or I would do a recording real quick. Here, no action. So I think we finally got that lined up, and it's too much effort. It needs to go into gathering evidence. Nobody called the guy and said, "Hey, you know what? You're making a lot of noise. Can you just keep it down?" He never cared, clearly, but that's the way it is. And so now my neighbor upstairs has been notified, I guess, suitably, and the annoyance level is not 0 by any means. It's closer to 0 than it has been for months. So it's a little nice respite of late. Respite, if you prefer. So yeah, it's nice to actually, like right now, it's quiet. Sometimes at this time of night, it's coming up on 11 p.m. There will be some like heavy stepping, let's say. But at least it's not like, let's call the police. So it's been nice. So it's been a nice week and a half of of a little bit more normal community living. So I'll take it. I think we're turning into some weird weather coming up, and I don't mean the actual weather, although it's been a little weird in Vegas in that regard. The winds, to continue the weather analogy, will be crazy and probably blowing in the wrong directions most of the time. Personally, and I'm talking about the economy and just the general social fabric here in the United States, maybe elsewhere. Personally, I think leaning heavily into entrepreneurial efforts, out of box thinking, some innovation and diversification are going to be the ways through this. I know a lot of my nerdy colleagues, whether I know them or not, are getting laid off from all the big tech companies. They're leaning heavily into those AI replacements, which I think is going to be problematic, as I already said. But I think that's a tremendous opportunity for entrepreneurialism. If you've been laid off by Intel and you spin off and, you and 100 of your friends go, because once workforces are no longer consolidated under the umbrella of poor management and heavyweight managerial decisions with ridiculous fiduciary responsibilities to own up to all the time, like, oh, a ton of smart people just got let go from the likes of Intel or Microsoft or whomever. And now they're in the wind and they can form a startup, and now they need my $20 billion to get them going. Great. Because you've just diversified the investment terrain, right? So I'm thinking that will be an interesting move in the coming months. We'll see if investor monetary policy remains tight. If interest rates come down, might be interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm not necessarily a fan of reactionary interest rate reductions. I don't know that Jerome Powell has been doing a horrible job, but he's definitely not getting along with the big guy. And I think more and more people are starting to lean into reducing interest rates, even though real inflation is going up. So we'll see. We'll see what the next quarter or two looks like. Are we in a recession? I'm sure we're going to hear about it nonstop in September. End of September is the end of the quarter, so we'll see how that goes. So I'm just 100% entrepreneurial. See what happens. Diversification. So I'd really like to implement multiple ideas and see which ones win. So that's where I'm kind of focusing. I've spent way too much time hoping and thinking and talking, and it's just not worth it. It's time for, if you're a Teddy Roosevelt fan, it's time for some rugged individualism, some rough riders to get out there and do their thing. And so I'm not investing in crypto. I think crypto is a huge problem in the way that it's been deployed. And now that there's less regulation, what could go wrong? It's like, let's stop regulating banking and investing, and let's see how 2008 turns out. I avoid crypto like the plague, though. And I think it's only going to get worse. I think there's just been too much crime and fraud and silliness. I think the idea is fine. I think the blockchain solving the two generals problem and the public ledger and the pseudo-anonymous transactions, and so there's a bunch of things that are interesting about it, but I don't think it's like the end all and be all. So just like AI, I think people dove in head first without checking the depth of the water. And, a lot of people have been injured by the way crypto works or does not. So as a software engineer or software architect or whatever my title might be, depending on which way the arrow is pointing, these are simply times too weird. I think relying on others is going to be tricky. I've talked about solipsism here in Vegas. I mentioned it today. I think when there are too many people that are like, there's nothing in this for me, I'm not going to respond to you in any way, which is what I encounter all the time. I think it's time to just say, okay, I'm not going to reach out anymore. So in the medium term, I think fingers must be crossed, which they are. And that's, we'll see how far that gets me. I have not been enjoying Vegas as much as I used to, and by that I mean I should be getting out and about more. Vegas is a fun place, despite people not coming here. I think for the January to today, or actually I think it might be January to June. I think total tourism visitor count is down by 1.2 million. I think it was 1.2 million people fewer visited. That might be through July. I can't remember. I still think it's too early to. People really want to pick a run rate as soon as possible. Like, okay, the second person to Vegas has come to Vegas in the last 30 seconds. That means there's going to be 88 million people, right? So run rates are, people rush into them to make themselves feel better. I just think it's going to have to be a wait and see, but I know a ton of money has been invested in building up more infrastructure in team, professional sports, the fun economy in general. I think the rush to gentrify will have a negative impact. So maybe if things slow down a bit, maybe people will start to look at prices, cost of living, the sustainability, or keeping the sustainability of the fun economy to make sure that you don't price everyone who works it and enables it out. So, we'll see. I mean, every once in a while, the economy contracts and everybody thinks that Vegas is the harbinger. So we'll see how it plays out for the larger national economy and beyond. So, but I have not been enjoying Vegas. I mean, Vegas didn't, tear down the tent, close up the tent, pack up the tent. Yeah. Vegas didn't pack up the tent and leave. So I could very easily get out and go and check the, for myself, go downtown, go on the strip, go to Summerlin, go to wherever, right? I live here. Why am I not? I used to stop by the conservatory at the Bellagio, the Chihuly stuff, and the installations that they have there at the conservatory, and all that stuff is cool. I used to just go and check it out. It is a tremendous amount of creativity and workmanship or workpersonship, if you like. It always looks cool. It's always like a little ooh and ah. Like, yeah, it's neat. So I used to go there more. I should be getting out and about to see other places. Like I said, I should go check out Area 15 with their new stuff that they're offering. I should be checking out all the interesting things going on. I used to spend a lot more time downtown, but the appeal has faded lately just because, to be honest, people that wander up and down Fremont, which is what Steven is looking at in his videos, that's sort of ridiculous. And I think especially locals, unless you're there to people watch, which some people are, walking up and down Fremont is not a great time. There are some cool places. Circa, the Gold Nugget is pretty cool. You can go to the California and get some oxtail soup late at night. I know the California is going to remove their Teeler card tables. They're going to go with all automation. So that'll be interesting. And you can go upstairs at the California and get a nice Hawaiian ice cream scoop. So if they're still open, I actually haven't gone forever, but so I think there's tons of nooks and crannies that if you just walk up and down Fremont, I think you miss out on. And I think people who are locals here could spend more time and, effort, I guess, to get out and about and to check this stuff out. Because I tell this story frequently. When I was in New York with my college roommate, we stayed with a friend of his who lived like 5 blocks away from the Empire State Building. And she said, "Oh, I never go there." You become jaded, and that's a normal thing because you're surrounded by Vegas all the time. But Vegas is always changing. So I kind of feel bad that I've not been enjoying it as much as I could because I used to enjoy Vegas more. So I'm going to think about what I'm going to do over the next few months, especially, hey, if it's going to be so calm and quiet, I should be taking advantage of that. I know I need to retune my engagement with my city where I live. But this is going to take a minute. I'm not just going to go out tomorrow and change everything. So I think we might have a few minutes though coming up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then as I mentioned, so my final point before I hit the anything else bullet item, I need to get my websites kicked off. I've talked about this in the Buy Me an Update for last week. I have a place. So I've been talking about this for ages. I have a host machine running right now that I can start deploying to. And now I must do some creative website building, probably at least some coming soon. But I also need to set up some Let's Encrypt SSL certificates, and I need to set up the HTTPS servers. So some housekeeping. so I can put some websites up so there's at least an authoritative presence for things like Quaggling Sand and FFS Talk and Cafe Genius, which actually already has a dumb website that I gotta throw that thing away and start over. And Innovate for Vegas already has a website, so that's fine. And then the danhugo.com website, which used to exist, but I have owned the domain the whole time. That will be where you will find this audio program and the Buy Me an Update, because they're just more like personal projects. There's no agenda. There's no tone. There's no topic constraint. It's just whatever. So it's just more casual. So they're not branded with websites and so on. But Cafe Genius has a website, FFS Talk, Quaggling Sand, and eventually Hugo Floss it has a website, but it doesn't have a website. But there will be one. There is a domain which I own. So all of these things have been on my to-do list forever. And one of the things, and I'm not using AI to build websites, but one of the things that I seem to have forgotten in my travels, and as a computer engineer for 3 decades or so now, there's no reason to forget this, is computers are here to do work for me, with me. No, I am perfectly capable of automating things and writing code to do so and all this stuff. And I have been remiss. I've been lazy. I've been procrastinating, and these are all bad things in the face of weird economic times, which, as I've mentioned, lie ahead. I totally believe that. So I'm not a web designer by any means, but this audio program will be found on my personal website, as I said. And since I did not actually grab a URL for it, that doesn't matter. I didn't buy a domain for Coffee Solo. It's sort of oddly tied to the Ko-fi platform, ko-fi.com, right? Sort of. The idea was to publish it there exclusively, and then it became clear, like, oh, nobody's ever going to find this because people don't look for podcasts in one place anymore. Apple Podcasts and YouTube notwithstanding, it's too easy. And this is why you hear people say, wherever you find your podcasts, that's the way it's supposed to be, decentralized. Same with Buy Me an Update. So these will both be sort of personal podcasts on my site, but the rest of the stuff, I need to get going on it, and everything needs to unfold much more quickly. I need to be more about execution and less about pondering. So certainly less about reaching out to others and seeing if anybody wants to be involved with things. I got the answer. I got the teacher's edition. I know what the answer is already. So anything else? I haven't done open mic in a while. I have some material. I should try it out. I should get down there. Some Wednesday, I'll try to get on the list again. It's been too long. I don't know. I just got so many things that I would like to be farther along and further along. Oh, it's 11:11 right now. I don't know if that's important to people, but I see people mentioning it every once in a while. 11:11 p.m. Yeah, I think I've talked enough. It's coming up. My clock says 51 minutes and 54 seconds right now, but that goes away when I truncate the silence. So, which I do for you. No, it keeps the episodes tight, a little bit tighter. And I do start off with a 10-second leader of silence, so I can use that as a noise sample. So I can filter that out. That keeps the noise floor lower, so it doesn't sound like there's like a hiss or yeah. Anyway, I don't know if you care. It's coming up to the end of the episode. If you're still here, I thank you for that. And my voice, obviously, I need to go hit that nasal fresh right now. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to do it after I publish this, but I'm going to do it this evening and see how tomorrow is. Yeah, I only don't do it just because it's like water and making saline solution and it literally takes like 3 minutes, and the impact if I do it on the regular it's like Brian Regan has a bit about getting glasses. He's like, if you have the ability to have perfect vision, why would you put that off? Right? Same thing. So I've just been horrible. I've been a lazy lima bean, as the saying goes, in living color. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say for the moment. Thank you for listening, of course, and look forward in the very, very near term for some websites and some other cool stuff. And yeah, it's time to start delivering on my notions. And that is where I'm going to leave that. Private Annoyance. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.